Hey, good morning, everyone. Will the clerk please call the roll?
Calling the roll for the Monday, December 19, 2022 Board of Control meeting. It is 11:01 a.m. We have Joe Nani, alternate for Councilwoman Nan Baker.
Here.
Councilman Dale Miller.
Here.
James Boyle serving as an alternate for Purnell Jones Jr.
Present.
Melanie Say serving as an alternate for Mike Dever.
Here.
Mike Chambers serving as an alternate for Armand Budish.
Here?
Lee Tucker serving as an alternate for the fiscal officer.
Here.
Paul Porter.
Here.
We have a quorum.
Okay, thank you. Next on our agenda is the approval of the minutes from December 12th. I will make a motion. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Councilman Miller. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Minutes are approved. Any public comment?
No public comment.
Okay, our table item is being held or referred to council. So let's go to our first item for review.
First item for review, BC 2022-771, Department of Public Works submitting an amendment to an agreement via contract number 1163 with Northeast Ohio Regional Sewer District for the disposal of wastewater sewer grit for the period December 1st, 2020 through December 31st, 2022, to extend the time period to December 31st, 2023, to change the terms effective January 1st, 2023, and for additional funds in the amount of $490,000.
Good morning, everyone. Tom Pavich, Department of Public Works. This is an amendment to our grit contract. It's for our sanitary divisions where we dispose of our wastewater grit. This is with, it's an intergovernment agency with Northeast Ohio Regional Sewer District. It's a one-year amendment which will take us through the end of next year.
Thank you, Tom. Are there questions? Councilman?
So the response said the new rate is an increase of 6.15 per ton.
That's correct.
How much is the current rate?
The current rate is $134 per ton. It's going to go up to $140.15 per ton,
So it's about a 5% increase.
roughly.
Okay, thank you.
Are there additional questions on the item? Seeing none, I will make a motion to approve. Is there a second?
Second.
Seconded by Mr. Boyle. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Item's approved. Next item?
Next item, BC 2022-772, Department of Public Works submitting an RFP exemption which will result in an award recommendation to Cintas Corporation in the amount not to exceed $72,783.14 for floor mat services at various county buildings for the period October 1st, 2022 through September 30th, 2025, and recommending a contract with said RFP exemption.
Good morning, Tom Pavich again, Public Works. This is an approval of a three-year contract with Cintas. It's for the county's floor mat services at various county buildings. This is an RFP exemption. We bid this out as a formal RFP. It's coming before you as an exemption. The only bidder that submitted a proposal had some discrepancies with their bid submission, but after further evaluation, we're making the award to them.
Thank you, Tom. Questions from the board? Seeing none, I will make a motion to approve the item. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second by Mr. Paul Porter. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Item approved.
Thank you.
Next item.
Next item, BC 2022-773, Department of Public Works submitting a revenue generating agreement via contract number 3011 with the Bell Oaks New Community Authority in the amount not to exceed $35,000 for sanitary sewer mainline maintenance services, County Sewer District 3, located in the city of Richmond Heights, effective upon signature of all parties through December 31st, 2023.
Good morning, members of the board. Tom Sotak, Department of Public Works, here to present this item this morning. We're asking to approve a new sewer maintenance agreement with the Bell Oaks Community Authority. This will be located in Richmond Heights, and it's for amount not to exceed $35,000 per year. It'll be revenue generating, and it'll be for services such as routine maintenance on sewers, cleaning, spot repairs, so on and so forth.
Okay, thank you, Tom. Are there questions from the board? Mr. Boyle, please.
So this is a new development within the city of Richmond Heights, correct?
That's correct.
Do we already have a contract with Richmond Heights?
We do have a contract with the city of Richmond Heights. We do have, I believe there's someone representing the Bell Oaks Community Authority here this morning. To answer any more questions regarding that. But yes, we do, to answer your question, Mr.
Okay,
Boyle.
and my questions aren't for the development, actually more for law and also for public works. So when I saw, new community authority in caps, I'm like, I don't even know what this is, and it gets very dangerous when I fall back on a very dormant law license to pretend that I know what I'm talking about. But I think the ORC allows the creation of and Jared, I think this will fall into your realm, the creation of a new community authority. And I assume that that's what this is created underneath that auspice. Is that fair?
Yes, I believe that.
All right. And if I'm not mistaken, the property is in the city of Richmond Heights proper, but I believe it's in the South Euclid Lyndhurst schools. I may be wrong on that. All right. Fair enough. So I guess more than anything else, Jared, I'm fine moving this forward. It makes sense. I'm unfamiliar with this area of the law. If there's some way public works, just so that I can, just a 3-sentence synopsis of what ORC 349, what the ramifications are. I don't need it right now. I mean, at some point later.
I'll
Just
provide
struck
that
me
for
as-
you. I do not have it for you right now,
I-
Jim, but we can talk about it.
I spent 5 minutes looking at it. I was lost, but in any event, fair enough.
Okay, are there additional questions, comments on the item? Seeing none, I will make a motion to approve the item. Do I have a second?
Second.
Seconded by Mr. Boyle. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? The item's approved. Next item.
Next item, BC 2022-774, Department of Development submitting an RFP exemption, which will result in an award recommendation to Historic Preservation Group LLC and the amount not to exceed $20,250 for consultant services in the preparation of the allocation plan for submission to the Home American Rescue Plan Program to the U.S. Department of Housing and Urban Development for the period December 20th, 2022 through March 31st, 2023, and recommending a purchase order with said RFP exemption.
Good morning, Sarah Parks Jackson with the Department of Development requesting approval of the HP Group PO. The HP Group currently assists the department in conducting our HUD-required historic preservation reviews. They provide us with technical assistance, and just recently, HUD informed us that our application for our Home ARP Award had to be in by March 30th. And I consulted with the HP Group to ask if they could assist us in the finalization of that submission to HUD, because I cannot do it myself.
Okay, Sarah, thank you. Questions from the board? Seeing no questions, I will make a motion to approve. Do I have a second?
Second.
Seconded by, I believe, Joe Nani. All in favor, say aye. Aye. Opposed? The item's approved.
Thank you.
Next item?
Next item, BC 2022.
Oh, sorry, Sarah.
Could I just take a moment and ask a non-related question of how many CDSG applications came in on Friday?
I'll let you know, Mr. Miller. I don't have the count yet, but I will bring it up to the office as soon as I get it.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
Great. Okay, Cheryl, continue. Thanks.
Next item, BC 2022-775, Department of Development submitting an RFP exemption which will result in a grant award to Cleveland Builds Incorporated and the amount not to exceed $350,000 for a union construction apprenticeship program in connection with Ohio Means Jobs effective upon signature of all parties for a period of 3 years, and recommending a grant agreement via contract number 2862 with said RFP exemption.
Hi, good morning. Bob Flato with Department of Development. This program will entail Cleveland Builds hosting more than 15 apprenticeship readiness programs that will place a minimum of 120 men and women in well-paying careers in the construction trades over 3 years. It's expected that 50% of the participants in these programs will be minorities. The Department of Development supports and recommends this contract, but the larger partner in this program with Cleveland Builds is Ohio Means Jobs. We have Keith Lashinger from Cleveland Builds here today, and Tim Linville from Construction Employers Association. And we have Laura Chalker here from Ohio Means Jobs if there's any detailed questions about this.
Okay, Bob, thank you. Questions from the board? Mr. Nat, oh, sorry. Well, Well, seems like we're good. I will make a motion to approve the item. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second by Councilman Miller. All in favor to approve, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? The item is approved. Moving on to the next item.
Next item, BC 2022-776, Department of Information Technology submitting an RFP exemption which will result in an award recommendation to MNJ Technologies Direct Incorporated in the amount not to exceed $29,910 for a state contract purchase of 15 HP ZBook Firefly mobile workstations, each to include HP CarePack hardware support, 5-year extended warranty, HP Absolute Data and Device Security for education professional subscription licenses and docking stations for the Sheriff's Department, and recommending a purchase order with said RFP exemption.
Good morning, Janelle Green, Department of IT. As Cheryl stated, this is a state contract purchase for from M&J, for 15 mobile workstations. This is a combination of new and replacement machines for the Sheriff's Department, and it is coming from the Federal Equitable Sharing Account, which is a specific fund for Sheriff's Department that they provided for us for procurement.
Okay, Janelle, thank you. Questions from the board?
Wait, these are for, who are these, which department are these for? These for the
The
sheriff?
Sheriff's Department.
Okay. Do you know what they're for? I mean, is there, the replacement units, I assume?
They're new and replacement
All right.
units.
Any additional questions from the board? No. Seeing none, I will make a motion to approve. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second by Mr. Boyle. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? The item is approved.
Thank
Next
you.
item. Thank you.
Next item, BC 2022-777, Office of Innovation and Performance submitting an RFP exemption which will result in a grant award to Milestone Autism Resources in the amount not to exceed $160,000 for operational support for the Help Desk Operations Capacity Building Initiative for the period January 1st, 2023 through December 31st, 2023, and recommending a grant agreement via contract number 2942 with said RFP exemption.
Good morning, Dale Armbruster, Office of Innovation and Performance. For those of you who aren't aware, Milestones Autism Resources is an organization. They reach thousands of families and professionals throughout Northeast Ohio. They serve autistic individuals of all ages and abilities, families, caregivers, and professionals. And so their services include education, coaching, as well as their free help desk, which is what this $160,000 will support. That help desk provides connections to resources like therapists and tutors, assessment, and more. They also provide Spanish language support. And this will support the expansion of the help desk in 2023 through additional staffing and resources.
Thank you, Dale. Questions from the board? Mr. Nani, please.
Just more of an acknowledgement of the answer. The question was asked relative to ongoing funding, and it appeared that you guys had the discussion with them about this just being a stopgap for them regarding the difficulties through COVID, that there's no expectation that this is ongoing.
Yeah, they're aware it's one-time funding, and they're going to sustain that operation through fundraising.
Right. Thank you very much.
Okay. Any additional questions on the item? Seeing none, I will make a motion to approve. Is there a second?
Second.
Seconded by, I believe, Mr. Paul Porter. All in favor, say aye. Aye. Opposed? The item is approved. Next item.
Next item, BC 2022-778, Department of Human Resources recommend an award on RQ 10687 and enter into a contract with Medical Resource Group Incorporated, DBA MRG Exams, in the amount not to exceed $141,000 for independent medical examinations and/or independent psychiatric or psychological evaluations for the period January 1st, 2023 through December 31st, 2025.
Stephen Witt with Human Resources. This is an award on an RFP that we conducted earlier this year for independent medical exams and psychological exams. There are two facets to this. One is we have medical exams when there is a workers' comp claim to help validate those workers' compensation claims. The other is when there's a fitness for duty exam needed. We also can conduct those through MRG. MRG also provides medical documentation to our workers' comp TPA and our workers' compensation team to validate those workers' compensation claims and to respond to those. We conduct this RFP. We had 3 submissions. MRG was the top scoring submission out of those. They are our current vendor, and we've had no issues with them in the past.
Okay, thank you, Stephen. Questions from the board? Seeing none, I will make a motion to approve. Is there a second? Second by Mr. Nani. All in favor, say aye. Aye. Opposed? The item is approved. Next item?
Next item, BC 2022-779, was held at the request of the department.
Okay, thank you. Let's move on to the next one.
Next item, BC 2022-780, Court of Common Pleas, Juvenile Court Division, submitting an amendment to a contract with Applewood Centers Incorporated for multi-systemic therapy problem sexual behavior services for adjudicated youth for the period July 1st, 2016 through June 30th, 2022, to extend the time period to June 30th, 2023, and for additional funds in the amount not to exceed $300,000.
Hi, Tara Brown, Juvenile Court. This is our MST PSB amendment. This is the sixth amendment, and we have made a note that we need to look into start doing a new contract. This contract is late for several reasons. The grant process alone, the award comes late. You should be familiar with this story by now. In addition, there were also some M4 issues that held us up, and we had to copy all of these contracts over, and these were the ones we were able to get in on this agenda. So we will have another agenda with quite a few more reclaim contracts.
And I believe Mr. Porter is aware of that, and you guys helped to fix it. Yeah.
Yes, we've worked through quite a few, and I think there were even some that got approved after the deadline for this meeting, so I anticipate we'll have several of them on the first Border Control meeting in January.
Okay, thank you. Are there questions from the board? Seeing no questions, I will make a motion to approve the item. Is there a second?
Second.
Seconded by Ms. Lee Tucker. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? The item is approved. Next item?
Next item, BC 2022-781, Court of Common Pleas, Juvenile Court Division, submitting an amendment to a contract with Ohio Guidestone for educational and vocational support services to the Promise Team youth population for the period July 1st, 2020 through June 30th, 2022, to extend the time period to June 30th, 2023, and for additional funds in the amount not to exceed $60,000.
Again, same late reasons, 100% reclaim funded. This contract is for Promise Team, and I do have the Director of Programming if you'd like further clarification on what Promise Team is.
Hold on, we'll see if the board does. Did the board have any questions for the director? No? Okay. Well, with that being said, let me make a motion to approve this item. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Mr. Nani. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? The item is approved, and thank you for coming. Next item?
Next item, BC 2022-782, Court of Common Pleas, Juvenile Court Division, submitting an amendment to a contract with Case Western Reserve University on behalf of the Begun Center for Violence Prevention at the Mandel School of Applied Social Sciences for the provisions of trauma training sessions and technical assistance to court staff for the period February 1st, 2020 through June 30th, 2022, to extend the time period to June 30th, 2023, and for additional funds in the amount not to exceed $5,500.
Hi, another reclaim funded contract. This one is a contract with Case Western Reserve that trains our court staff in trauma training, with trauma training and technical assistance services. I believe this is the first amendment.
Okay. Thank you. Questions from the board? Seeing none, I will make a motion to approve. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Mr. Boyle, I believe. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? The item's approved. Next item?
Next item, BC 2022-783, Court of Common Pleas, Juvenile Court Division, submitting an amendment to a contract with University of Cincinnati Research Institute for Cognitive Behavioral Intervention Training Services for court staff for the period August 7, 2017 through June 30th, 2022, to extend the time period to June 30th, 2023, and for additional funds in the amount not to exceed $18,000.
Hi, another reclaim funded contract. This one is for the University of Cincinnati to train our court staff involved in the CBIC or CBIC program.
Okay, thank you. Questions? Mr. Nani?
Just a quick question about the training programs in general. Are these offered annually or just for new employees? How does that training work?
Well, these trainings are delivered specifically to the CBIC staff, so we get monthly consultations and then like quarterly, actually hands-on, face-to-face trainings just to make sure that we're meeting the fidelity of the model.
Okay, thank you.
Sure. Additional questions on the item? Seeing none, I will make a motion to approve the item. Do I have a second?
Second.
Seconded by Councilman Miller. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? The item's approved. Next item?
Next item, BC 2022-784, Court of Common Pleas, Juvenile Court Division, submitting an amendment to a master contract with various providers for sex offender assessment and treatment services for court-referred youth for the period July 1st, 2021 through June 30th, 2023, for additional funds in the amount not to exceed $85,000. Applewood Centers Incorporated, and the amount not to exceed $40,000. Monfort Dent Consulting and Psychological Services, LLC, and the amount not to exceed $15,000. Ohio Guidestone, in the amount not to exceed $30,000.
Hi, this is a master contract for sex offender assessment and treatment services. This is the first amendment, and it's 100% reclaim funded.
Okay, thank you again. Questions from the board?
This is really terrible, but can we, I was looking at my notes for the last one, and it says, what's the CBIC program?
It's the Community-Based Intervention Center.
Okay. Yeah. But that, not relevant to this item. But,
It's always
I
relevant.
forgot to ask it. Thank you.
Do we have questions on this item?
I do
Okay.
not.
Seeing none, I will make a motion to approve the item. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Mr. Boyle. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Item approved. Next item?
Next item, BC 2022-785, Court of Common Pleas, Juvenile Court Division, submitting an amendment to a contract with Case Western Reserve University for high-fidelity wraparound monitoring services for the period November 1st, 2019 through June 30th, 2022, to extend the time period to June 30th, 2023, and for additional funds in the amount not to exceed $4,582.48.
Another reclaim funded contract. This is the third amendment, and this is to extend it for just another year. I believe this training has not been scheduled yet.
Yeah.
So none of these have been scheduled yet. We're waiting to get them activated in order to schedule them.
Gotcha. Thank you. Questions from the board? Seeing none, I will make a motion to approve. Is there a second? Seconded by Ms. Melanie Say. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Item approved. Next item.
Next item, BC 2022-786, Court of Common Pleas, Juvenile Court Division, submitting an amendment to a contract with Applewood Center Incorporated for therapeutic level 4 foster care respite services for coordinated approach to low-risk misdemeanors project for the period June 1st, 2021 through June 30th, 2022, to extend the time period to June 30th, 2023, and for additional funds in the amount not to exceed $62,458.80.
Another reclaim funded contract. I believe this is the second amendment, and it's for respite services with Project Calm, 100% reclaim funded.
Thank you. Questions from the board? Seeing none, I will make a motion to approve. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Mr. Boyle. All in favor, say aye. Aye. Opposed? Item is approved. Next item.
Next item, BC 2022-787, Court of Common Pleas, Juvenile Court Division, submitting an amendment to a master contract with various providers for trauma-informed treatment services for court-referred youth for the period October 1st, 2018 through June 30th, 2022, to extend the time period to June 30th, 2023, and for additional funds in the total amount not to exceed $40,000. Applewood Centers Incorporated, in the amount not to exceed $25,455.20. Ohio Mentor Incorporated, in the amount not to exceed $6,360. Pals for Healing, in the amount not to exceed $8,184.80.
This is another reclaim funded contract. This is a First Amendment, and it's for youth who are on the safe harbor docket.
Questions from the board?
Cheryl, I was looking on the backup documents. Is the Pals for Healing listed as 6,360? I thought I had them backwards, or maybe you had, I'm not sure. Yeah, the backup documents have Pals for Healing on page 72 reverse. Pals for Healing, they have it 6,360. I'm just wondering which one it is, unless I have.
Okay, we'll have to check into that.
Does the department have?
We'll have to look at the contract to double check it out.
These are the only documents that I have too, so
All
I
right.
don't know offhand. I can follow up.
I would.
I can pull it up.
Why don't we hold that item for a moment? Would that be okay, and give you a chance
Yeah,
to
that's fine.
take a
I
quick
can
look?
look it up.
And that was the only issue that I saw, because I was tracking it on the backup documents.
Yeah, if we want to do the next one, though.
Yeah, let's just skip that one for a time being. Let's move on to the next one, Cheryl.
Next, item BC 2022-788, Court of Common Pleas Juvenile Court Division submitting an amendment to a contract with Belfair Jewish Children's Bureau for integrated co-occurring treatment services for the Behavioral Health Juvenile Justice Project for the period July 1st, 2020 through June 30th, 2023, for additional funds in the amount not to exceed $153,597.
Another 100% reclaim funded contract for BHJJ ICT, and this one still goes through 23. Yes, Ed. Yeah, that's it.
Okay, questions on this item? Okay, seeing none, I'll make a motion to approve. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Mr. Nani. All in favor, say aye. Aye. Opposed? The item is approved. Let's move on to the next item, please.
Next, item BC 2022-789, Office of the Medical Examiner submitting an amendment to a contract with All Star Laundry Services Incorporated for laundry services for the period December 1st, 2019 through November 30th, 2022, to extend the time period to December 31st, 2023, and for additional funds in the amount not to exceed $30,000.
Hugh Shannon, Medical Examiner's Office. This is an extension for our laundry service. Without getting into too much detail, it's kind of important. And we'll be able to go to bid next year.
Okay. Questions from the board? Seeing none, I will make a motion to approve. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Mr. Boyle. All in favor to approve, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? The item's approved.
Thank you. Happy holidays.
Do you have an update, Paul?
I do have an answer on that one. Great job, Jim. You were right. The two values are transposed on the agenda itself, but not in the backup documentation. So it should be the $8,184.80 for Ohio Mentor, and then for Pals for Healing, it's the $6,360. So the dollar amounts are reversed between the two vendors. The dollar amount for Applewood Center as the first vendor is unaffected.
We need to amend.
Yeah,
All right.
I'll make a motion here. So I'm going to make a motion to approve the item as amended with the dollar amounts. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Mr. Boyle. All in favor to approve as amended, say aye. Aye. Opposed? The item's approved. Thank you, Jim. Next item?
Right.
Next, item BC 2022-790, Department of Public Safety and Justice Services, on behalf of the Sheriff's Department, submitting an RFP exemption, which will result in award recommendation to Tyler Technologies Incorporated in the amount not to exceed $26,000 for development of an interface that will transfer data from the City of Cleveland's record management system to the Sheriff's Criminal Justice Information Sharing Data Warehouse, effective upon signature of all parties for a period of 1 year, and recommending a contract with said RFP exemption.
Good morning, Mary Beth Vaughn from Public Safety. And once completed, this interface will allow suburban law enforcement access to specific information in the Cleveland's record management system via the county's data warehouse. The reason for the exemption is that Tyler Technologies is Cleveland's RMS vendor, and while other companies have the technical ability to do interface, because it's their system, they don't allow anybody else access. So they need to build the interface. We already have the bridge set up through our data warehouse, so.
Okay, thank you, Mary Beth. Questions? Yes, Mr. Nani.
I just have a question about it says funding source, criminal justice information sharing.
Correct.
Where does the money come from?
That is a $5 fee. So if you are driving, you get a moving violation, the court is going to levy whatever the court's going to levy, and then there's an additional $5 fee for each offense, and those municipal courts remit that fee to us on a monthly basis.
Okay, thank you.
Mr. Boyle?
So, you said it'll allow the suburban law enforcement to access it. Does that?
Correct.
So is that all the county law enforcement, all the municipal and I guess other law enforcement entities in the county can access this?
That's correct. So this is the last interface that we needed for the data warehouse.
So all the other entities are already online?
That's correct.
And is the reason we have to do this now is that Cleveland just put together a new court management system? Is that related to this?
Previously, I'm not sure all of the reasons why it took so long. I will tell you that there was a long period of time with Cleveland's previous RMS provider that we were thinking the interface was gonna cost us $500,000.
Yeah, I'm surprised,
Right.
and that's where I thought this was going. I knew
Exactly.
that when they got a new court operating system, it was a vendor that wasn't really as well-known as the rest of the entities. I mean, it's usually Court Watch or whoever the other ones are. And
And
quite
the-
frankly, I'm surprised it's so low.
We were very pleased. This is actually more in line with what we paid for the other interfaces.
Okay.
The other interfaces, we paid anywhere from 16 up to about 55,000.
Okay. Any final questions on the item?
No, I'll move for passage.
Move for passage, I'll second it, or seconded by Councilman Miller. All in favor, say aye. Aye. Opposed? Item approved.
Thank you.
Next item, please.
Next item, BC 2022-791, Department of Workforce Development, recommend an award on RQ A377 and enter into contract with the Kaiser Group, DE LLC, DBA Dynamic Workforce Solutions, and the amount not to exceed $450,000 for Title I Business Services in connection with the Federal Workforce Innovation and Opportunity Act for the period January 1st, 2023 through June 30th, 2024.
Deshaun Matthews, Ohio Means Jobs. This is for an award resulting from a RFP for Title I Business Services with Dynamic Workforce Solutions. They will connect with businesses and provide services to help them succeed and be more competitive and matching them with qualified candidates and job seekers from Ohio Means Jobs. In order to achieve these objectives, they will outreach to 225 area employers to engage in services with Ohio Means Jobs. They will also form new employer partnerships with 180 businesses to identify talent needs and refer qualified candidates to fill those positions. They also plan on holding 15 recruiting events, and they also will use the labor market information to be helpful to employers in setting wages and benefits that will help attract high-quality candidates and offer an array of services to help employers educate, train their workforce, and help fill their employment needs with qualified job seekers.
Thank you. Are there questions from the board? Mr. Nani, please.
Just a quick, do they have a local presence? I know.
They do. I mean, they originate in Minnesota. They also do business in Pittsburgh, so they're a little bit national, but this is a new contractor, and they're just now doing business with us, but so they are locally but also nationally.
Okay, thank you.
Any final questions on the item? Seeing none, I will make a motion to approve. Is there a second?
Second.
Seconded by, I believe, Paul Porter. All in favor, say aye. Aye. Opposed? The item is approved. Next item.
Next item, BC 2022-792, Department of Health and Human Services submitting an amendment to a contract with United Way of Greater Cleveland for community resource navigation and med refer services to residents of Cuyahoga County for the period January 1st, 2022 through December 31st, 2022, to extend the time period to December 31st, 2023, and for additional funds in the amount not to exceed $277,333.
Good morning, Marcos Cortez with Health and Human Services on behalf of Jobs and Family Services. United Way's 2-on-1 will provide community resource navigation and med refer services to residents of Cuyahoga County. The navigation services are designed to help the public find, understand, and access community resources during their time of need. These navigation specialists have a bunch of experience handling a wide array of populations. They can assess social service needs, review eligibility for programs, and provide information and referrals, de-escalation and advocacy as needed. Additionally, there's a component of this called the Med Refer for the purpose of connecting these 2-on-1 callers to free and low-cost medications. This is an option year that we are utilizing to extend the contract.
Okay, Marcos, thank you. Joe, please.
Hey, Marcos. I'm not sure if this is a question for you, but just in general, is there a way that we can find out how much funding we provide to United Way, both for regular United Way and 2-on-1 funding on an annual basis? I know there's a couple different contracts that we have.
We could run the vendor and come up with,
That'd be great.
all
It'd be nice
payments.
to see just maybe for the last 2 years. I know that we provide a lot of funding and we interact.
Can I task you to get with accounts payable or whatever, to take a look at that?
Yep, sounds
Okay.
good. We can get you something probably by the end of the day,
That's fine.
Joe.
No rush. Thank you.
Thank you.
Any additional questions? Councilman, please.
How much did we pay for this contract in 2022?
The same amount.
Thank you.
Okay. Any final questions from the board? Seeing none, I will make a motion to approve. Is there a second?
Second.
Seconded by Councilman Miller. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? The item's approved. Next item.
Next item, BC 2022-793, Department of Health and Human Services, on behalf of the county executive, submitting an RFP exemption which will result in a grant award to Hunger Network in the amount of $50,000 for special holiday food distribution events to be performed at various locations in Cuyahoga County for the period November 1st, 2022 through December 31st, 2022, and submitting a grant agreement via contract number 3000 with said RFP exemption.
Good morning again, Marcos Cortez with Health and Human Services. The Hunger Network will be distributing holiday chickens within but not limited to certain communities that need holiday food. At the current cost, a grant of $50,000 would allow them to provide over 4,200 chickens to county residents, including some of our highest need wards, wards 5 and 7, but additional places as well. This is a grant agreement awarded by the county executive using his ARPA Revenue Replacement Government Services Funds.
General fund, so.
General fund.
Okay, just want to make sure. Questions from the board? Mr. Boyle?
Where did we come, I mean, where are we going to distribute these?
So there are, I actually do have an Excel spreadsheet. They're provided several different locations throughout Cuyahoga County. There are some coming up. There's a few coming up. I forgot, there's a flyer actually. There's a few coming up in the King Kennedy High Rise. There's one at the Sankofa Village in the Cedar High Rise, but there's, like I said, I have an additional list of locations.
If I get it, just send me a copy of that. I mean, it just, the backup documents have that it's in wards 5 and 7 in Cleveland, which again, I mean, I certainly don't dispute the potential need or real need in those communities. It just seems oddly specific, and it doesn't look like, I mean, was there any work to identify what locations actually needed these services?
Oh, sorry, 1 second. Actually, there's, they're more than just 5 and 7. That's,
Okay.
those are two identified as highest need areas. But they will actually be providing, according to the documentation that I have, Bedford, Berea, Cleveland, East Cleveland, Garfield Heights, Maple, North Randall, and other areas as well.
And that's what I wanted to hear. I'm glad to hear that. All right, thank you.
Okay, any final questions? Councilman, please.
So, is there any eligibility requirement for an individual to receive this holiday food, or is it anyone who walks in the door?
Actually, I don't have that information, but I can find out.
Okay, thank you.
Okay. Seeing no further questions, I will make a motion to approve the item. Do I have a second? Second by Mr. Nani. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Item is approved. Next item.
Next item, BC 2022-794, Department of Health and Human Services, Community Initiatives Division, Office of Homeless Services, submitting an amendment to a contract with Enterprise Community Partners Incorporated for establishing a cross-system partnership for services and benefits available to persons experiencing or exiting homelessness for the period October 1st, 2022 through December 31st, 2022, to change the scope of service effective October 1st, 2022, and for additional funds in the amount not to exceed $15,000.
Good morning, Erin Reardon, Office of Homeless Services. So this is an amendment to our contract with Enterprise Community Partners. They are currently working with us through our planning grant to provide services related to income instability, and upon working with them, we determined that we wanted to expand the scope of this contract to include work with permanent supportive housing, which is housing for people who are homeless and need additional support because they have a disability. So an enterprise is an entity that also has experience in that area, so we wanted to expand their scope to include their experience in that area. This is a little bit late because they took some time to get documents to us. We are working with them to ensure that it's completely spent down by the end of the year.
Thanks, Aaron. Questions from the board? Seeing none, I will make a motion to approve. Is there a second? Seconded by Mr. Nani. All in favor, say aye. Aye. Opposed? The item is approved. Next item.
Next item, BC 2022-795, Department of Health and Human Services, Community Initiatives Division, Office of Reentry, submitting an amendment to a contract with Oriana House Incorporated for administration and operation of the Neighborhood Reentry Resource Center and the Adult Transition Module for the period July 1st, 2021 through December 31st, 2024, to change the scope of services effective upon contract signature of all parties and for additional funds in the amount not to exceed $475,000.
Good morning, Fred Bollis of the Office of Reentry. This amendment will do two things. One, it allows for a continuation or an expansion of the adult transition model, which suggests that the best way to make sure that people who have committed offenses will not recidivate is to engage with them while they're still incarcerated and assess and then address their needs, so that when they come out, those things can be taken care of, starting in the institution and then continuing out, and also to build a rapport with the transition specialist so that they will continue to get services and assistance when they are released. The other thing it does is it allows for work with additional community partners wanting to do the same work. And the vendor Oriana House will oversee and provide technical assistance to other vendors who will be chosen through an RFP process with the Office of Reentry will be involved in, so that other community partners will be able to go into different institutions and provide those same kinds of services.
Okay, thank you, Fred. Questions? Mr. Nani?
How many people do you anticipate will be assisted annually through this contract?
We anticipate a minimum over the 2-year period of based on what the vendor currently is doing and based on the amounts that will be, we would expect a minimum of 600 people.
Okay, additional questions? Seeing none, I will make a motion to approve the item. Is there a second? Seconded by Mr. Nani. All in favor, say aye. Aye. Opposed? The item is approved. Next item.
Next item, BC 2022
And if I can, just to clarify, I mean 600 additional people, so at least 800.
Thank you.
Okay. All right.
Next item, BC 2022-796, Department of Health and Human Services, Community Initiatives Division, Office of Reentry, recommend an award and enter into a master contract with various vendors in the amount not to exceed $499,000 for administration and operation of reentry law clinics effective upon signature of all parties through December 31st, 2024, to Case Western Reserve University School of Law in the amount not to exceed $244,000. Cleveland State University College of Law in the amount not to exceed $255,000.
Yes, this new contract will allow us to expand to a second reentry clinic. The reentry clinic was established in the very end of 2019, just when COVID hit, unfortunately, funded by a federal grant. We have been very pleased with the results, and we had an alternate procurement because there were only 2 possible vendors, 2 law schools in Cuyahoga County. We received proposals from both, and based on those, we decided actually to, instead of putting all funding into one, we were able to expand and have 2 separate clinics, but they will be working in coordination, not competition.
Okay, Fred, thank you again. Questions from the board? Please.
So, until, I guess, today, this was grant funded, correct? So, this was grant funded before?
It was grant funded before. The grant is expired.
Okay, but now, is it from, where is it going to be paid from now?
This will be coming from the Health and Human Services levy.
Okay, so it went from some external people paying for it to now we're paying for it.
Right.
Okay, what exactly are they going to do?
Pardon?
What are the clinics?
It is designed to assist people with criminal justice backgrounds in providing advice and sometimes representation in civil matters that have occurred collaterally from their criminal justice involvement. So it may be that, for example, when they were incarcerated, they weren't able to pay child support, and there's child support issues now. It might be custody visitation. There could be housing issues. There have been immigration issues. So they deal with, it's not at all in terms of criminal defense.
Right.
It is for civil matters that specifically are related to their prior criminal justice histories.
And who's gonna, are we gonna represent them? I mean, this money will go to hiring lawyers to represent them?
The way the law schools have a number of different types of clinics where third-year law students who are certified to practice under supervision by the Supreme Court may actually represent them in these types of matters, yes.
So
It is that we are not paying for those students. That's part of their learning experience. This is primarily paying for the faculty positions that supervise all these students.
Okay, so, I mean, I don't want to belabor it, but, I mean, what's happening today is being asked to bite off another $500,000 out of the HHS levy fund that was not paid for up until today. And what it appears that we're doing is funding the clinics, and I, as a proud graduate of Case Western Reserve University School of Law, know that they've got lots and lots of money and lots of clinics. I'm okay moving this forward, but I mean, it strikes me as an odd endeavor that it was grant funded up until now, and now we're gonna pay for the whole thing. Okay, but let's start thinking a little more collaboratively on these things. It just strikes me as an odd situation that we're gonna be paying them $500,000 for a program that, while yes, beneficial to all of us, certainly, you know.
No, what it does do is it provides them with these services at a fraction of what it would cost if we were to have private attorneys or contract that way to provide it. And again, it helps these people from everything from that to just clearing their records and being able to move on.
Let me be clear, I'm not arguing the merit of the program. I mean, I'm just saying, from a funding
Oh, the funding
capacity, I think
sources.
there needs to be ongoing conversation about who's gonna fund it.
No, definitely we would continue to look. The grant wasn't extended because it was not something that could be extended. It wasn't based on the outcomes, and they were dissatisfaction with that. But yeah, I can see that, and we are constantly looking for, outside sources that can fund and expand some of these programs, yeah.
Okay, are there additional questions? Seeing none, I will make a motion to approve the item. Is there a second?
Second.
Seconded by Mr. Paul Porter. All in favor to approve, say aye. Aye. Opposed? The item is approved. Next item? Thank you.
Next item, exemptions. First item, BC 2022-797, Department of Public Works recommending an alternative procurement process which will result in award recommendations and issuance of purchase orders to various vendors, Campbell Concrete and Supply, Carr Brothers, and Rockport Ready Mix, and the total amount not to exceed $320,000 for the purchase of concrete materials on an as-needed basis for repair and maintenance projects throughout Cuyahoga County, effective date of Board of Control approval for a period of 2 years.
Good morning, Tom Pavich, Public Works. This is an alternative procurement for the county's concrete. We currently have a contract with the vendor that's going to be expiring, so earlier this year, Public Works released 3 large master contract RFQs. The one for the county's road and bridge division had the commodity for concrete. We received no bids, no submissions. There is a national shortage of concrete, which I've mentioned previously. So we did an informal bid because we can't not have concrete. So we did an informal bid. We secured 3 quotes from 3 area vendors. We tried to solicit quotes from other vendors in Northeast Ohio, Tech Ready Mix, Osborne, Cuyahoga Concrete. They can't even commit to an actual quote beyond that same day. But Carr Brothers, Campbell, Rockport, they did secure us a quote. So we're coming to the board as an alternative procurement requesting this be approved, and then we come back to the board with as-needed purchase orders for the duration of 2 years in the amount of $320,000. Public Works had a program like this in place dating back to, I think, 2016 under Mike, where we bid it out. We had vendors provide us pricing on concrete. They held those pricing. We created as-needed purchase orders, and that's the intent of this process. Happy to answer any questions.
Thank you, Tom. Are there any questions? Councilman, please.
So did these three vendors give us a price that's good for 2 years?
They gave us a price that's, I think they said 6 months. You know, they're even hesitant to even give us a quote, so roughly 6 months. So the other challenge, oh, go ahead.
Is the price that they gave us essentially the same as the current price?
It is what it is what we're paying currently with Carr Brothers. So, you know, the other challenge is logistics. You know, historically, vendors, you know, if we call first thing in the morning to a lot of concrete vendors, they can deliver that same day. Some vendors, even Carr Brothers, they're not delivering for 2 weeks out right now. So, you know, our road and bridge department, as good as they are, they're tasked with forecasting projects 2 weeks in advance, even further, just so they can have concrete deliveries.
Okay.
You know,
No, go ahead, Councilman.
I think the general public often has no understanding of the problems that you have to go through to just do what seems to be ordinary work.
Yes. Yeah, there's a lot of hurdles we have to jump through. There's no quick solutions, anything to do with buying anything in today's world, so.
I'll make a motion to approve this.
There's a motion mode, and seconded by Mr. Nani. All in favor, say aye. Aye. Opposed? The item is approved.
Thank you.
Next item, thank you.
Next item, BC 2022-798, Department of Information Technology requesting to amend board approval number BC 2022-762 dated December 12, 2022, which approved an RFP exemption and authorized an award on contract number 2935 to One Spark LLC for staff augmentation services for the Enterprise Resource Planning System for the period December 5th, 2022 through May 5th, 2023 by changing the not to exceed amount from $74,500 to $75,400.
Janelle Green, Department of IT. Just as Cheryl mentioned, it was a transposition of numbers. So we want to get that corrected and to move forward.
You know so much that I just wanted to, I told you about ERP and you said it was just a transposition area. I was so ready. I was so ready.
I know.
Save that for another day.
I'm sure it will come soon.
Any more interesting comments from council?
It's an ongoing dialogue.
All right, seeing none, I will make a motion to approve the item. Is there a second?
Second.
Seconded by, I think, Councilman Miller. All in favor, say aye. Aye. Opposed? The item is approved. The next item?
Thank you.
Next item, BC 2022-799, Department of Health and Human Services and Department of Development recommending an alternative procurement process which will result in award recommendations to various providers and the total amount not to exceed $1 million to reimburse employers for employee wage and training expenses in connection with the Learn and Earn program for the period January 1st, 2023 to June 30th, 2023.
Good morning, Vaughn Johnson, Department of Development. As Cheryl just mentioned, this is to request this, I'm requesting this process to continue reimbursements for the Learn and Earn program, also known as Skill Up. And this project was also previously approved under BC 2021-738. Happy to take any questions.
Thank you. Questions? Yes, Joe?
Did we spend $1 million in the last 6 months of the program?
Yeah, I have some information here for you.
Okay.
Year-to-date 2022, we have $895,810 encumbered for purchase orders for reimbursements for companies.
So for this contract, just to be clear, none of these services have already been provided. This is for 2023.
Right. This is a continuation because many times the training extends for 3 months, 6 months, and it'll carry over into the next year.
Okay.
And just to mention too, in 2021, year-to-date, at the same time, we were at 64,610, and now we're at almost 900,000.
And then, not for right now, but can you provide a list of employers and the costs and the specific payments we've made for them for the last 2 years, so that?
Sure.
Okay.
Sure, I
thank you.
can. I can also mention too that year over year, the actual purchase orders and numbers of companies that Skill Up has provided services for. In 2021, there were 10 purchase orders and only 6 companies. And year-to-date 2022, there's 65 purchase orders and 36 companies year-to-date. So I thought that was relevant for this group.
Is there data kept on retention for the employees being trained?
I believe so. Oh, no, it isn't.
Okay. So how do they determine success in terms of when the payment is made to the employers? If the training is provided, no matter what, they get paid, or is there some period of time where they have to be on the job for 3-6 months or something
No,
like that?
once they complete the training. And the reimbursements are stackable. So there's a reimbursement for completing the training. There's a reimbursement for wage increase. There's a reimbursement for a credential attainment. And then there's a reimbursement for incidentals regarding training.
Okay. What are incidentals? Like what would be included in that type of?
Maybe textbook,
Okay,
maybe a
gotcha.
uniform, something
Okay.
like that.
Thank you.
Councilman, question, please.
How much was allocated for Earn and Learn in 2021, and how much was allocated in 2022?
I don't think I'm sorry, Paul Herdick.
If I may, Councilman, Vaughn joined about a year and a half ago. There's been $3 million per year authorized within the HHS budget. It was estimated that it would be $1 million for staffing and $2 million for reimbursements. Both categories have been significantly less than the amount that was authorized for several years now. As Vaughn indicated, the amount that's going for reimbursements has been increasing quite a bit. And the amount for staffing has been actually shrinking because we've had a number of staff leaving the program.
So, if we've been, so certainly we're doing better in 2022, and I'm very happy to hear about that, but we've been significantly underspending compared with what was authorized. And if that was the case, why do we have to allocate new money? Why can't we just carry over what was previously authorized?
Councilman Paul Herdig, it's my understanding, and I may stand open to correction from experts in budgeting, that it's a year-by-year budget, not a lifetime fund, so that there's not a piling up of authorized money. There's only $3 million authorized for the next calendar year. And the reason we're only doing $1 million here for a 6-month period is we're actually in the process of contracting with an outside vendor who's going to handle part of the work after about a 6-month period.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, any final questions on the item? Seeing none, I will make a motion to approve this item. Is there a second?
Second.
Seconded by Mr. Boyle. All in favor, say aye. Aye. Opposed? The item's approved. Next item.
Next, item BC 2022-800, Department of Health and Human Services recommending an alternative procurement process which will result in payments to Treasurer, State of Ohio, for various invoices in the total amount not to exceed $250,000 for technical support services to county employees in connection with the tech service support policy for the period January 1st, 2023 through December 31st, 2023.
Good morning, Ramon Caldas from Health and Human Services. This is the alternate procurement request for technology service and support policy. Through TSSP, HHS is able to gain network access that enables staff to connect to ODJFS. So a lot of the HHS agencies are on the state mainframes and servers, and we're responsible for covering those costs. We usually get billed quarterly, and this will allow us a mechanism to pay those invoices.
Okay, thank you. Questions from the board? Mr. Nani, please.
Just so, I'm sorry. This is just to have access for employees to their client data, is that what that is?
We're also able to request IT equipment and services also.
So is there any way that this can help us with the crazy long wait times that people have on the phone? Or is that a separate system?
It's a separate system.
Okay. Can I get a copy of this, the policy, just that's referenced in there, the tech services policy?
Yes.
Thank you.
Any additional questions from the board? Seeing none, I will make a motion to approve. Is there a second?
Second.
Seconded by Ms. Lee Tucker. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? The item is approved. Next item?
Next, item BC 2022-801, Department of Health and Human Services, Cuyahoga Job and Family Services, recommending an alternative procurement process and exemption from aggregation on various purchase orders, which will result in various award recommendations to Treasurer, State of Ohio, and the total amount not to exceed $3,462,901.46 for state mandated services rendered to children with medical handicaps for the period January 1st, 2023 through December 31st, 2023, in accordance with Ohio Revised Code Section 3701.023.
Good morning, Ramon Caldas, Health and Human Services, on behalf of Cuyahoga Job and Family Services. Children with mental handicaps is mandated per ORC and provides assistance to children with special health care needs and to their families who meet certain medical and financial eligibility. So we're responsible for paying Medicare back. This is our liability to the state and Medicaid, and this one is non-reimbursable.
Okay, thank you. Questions from the board? Seeing none, I will make a motion to approve the item. Is there a second? Seconded by Ms. Melanie Say. All in favor, say aye. Aye. Opposed? The item is approved. Next item?
Next, item BC 2022-802, Department of Health and Human Services, Cuyahoga Job and Family Services, recommending an alternative procurement process which will result in various award recommendations to various providers in the total amount not to exceed $300,000 for non-emergency client transportation services for the period January 1st, 2023 through December 31st, 2023. Ace Taxi in the amount not to exceed $120,000, ABC Taxi in the amount not to exceed $180,000.
Good morning, Ramon Caldas, Health and Human Services, on behalf of Cuyahoga Job and Family. Non-emergency transportation is available to people on Medicaid. The service provides transportation to and from medical appointments. This will cover the service fee for those who are eligible. We currently do have an RFP with AmeriCab, but since we're mandated to provide transportation, this would be for the rare instances when AmeriCab cannot provide the transportation. And this one is also reimbursable via Medicaid.
Okay, thank you. Questions?
Do you happen to know the AmeriCab amount?
I don't have that number in front of me.
And then, do you know how they bill? Is that like per trip or a monthly basis?
It's monthly.
Okay.
They add up the amount of rides and then they send us an invoice, and this will give us a mechanism to pay that.
Thank you.
Mr. Boyle?
So, you did a competitive process earlier, and AmeriCab was the preferred vendor, correct?
Correct, they came in lowest and best.
Okay, and then, so where did we get Ace?
These two were on the RFP, and they're able to cover the rides that AmeriCab can't because of zoning. There's certain rides that AmeriCab can't, they have a certain zone that they stay in.
Was that, okay, and then that's kind of where I was going with this. So was the zone aspect or the availability to cover all the rides provided or needed, was that part of the competitive process bid? I mean, I assume you did, what did you do, an RFP or RFQ?
I personally didn't do the RFP, but
because that strikes me that and that's what that the zones would be part of the I would assume of the bid package, saying can you cover all these rides, and it appears that they can't.
that wasn't part of the selection for that RFP.
Mr. Porter?
If I could weigh in, I was involved at the time, and kind of the way it's looked at is the county, wants to provide these trips, but these vendors are used in exceptional circumstances where somebody might have to go out of county for medical appointments is the most frequent circumstance where you'd have to use, someone other than the typical vendor. if I recall correctly, our expectation was that a vendor would be able to serve the entire county, but that doesn't necessarily mean that if you have to pick up someone in Westlake who has to go to Columbus for an appointment, that could be exceptional, but, you know, if they have to see a specialist, we want to provide coverage for that. My understanding is that more often than not, that's what kind of this stopgap coverage with these vendors is used for. And that would have been above and beyond the expectation of a typical trip under the RFP. I was also able to look up the dollar amount from 21 to 23 if you'd like that. Hold on, give me a second. Let me switch window. It was $8,000 from March 1st of 21 to February 28th of 23. And then I think there's an additional option year on top of that. 8 million. Yep, sorry.
8,000.
Yes, 8 million.
So I have a follow-up then. I understand that we're required to do this, but your example of going to Columbus or something along those lines to see a specialist is, I get it. But is there, how far does our requirement go? Like, what if there's a trip that they have to take to California? Is that, I mean, are we on the hook for any expense related to travel? How do we control that?
I don't have a good answer, I guess. Yeah, that's something that we'd have to look into.
Could you ask the director to respond to that question, please? Thank you.
Okay, Councilman, please.
So you mentioned that the payment is monthly. And my question is, but am I still correct that the monthly payment is based on an accounting of the number of rides provided and where they went to, as opposed to there being a flat monthly fee regardless of the number of rides provided?
It's based on the amount of trips and the mileage. So
Right.
year to date for ABC, there were 23 riders that provided 279 trips, and that was just over 7,200. Ace Taxi was 46 riders. They provided 252 trips, and that was just under 6,400.
Okay, thank you.
Are there any final questions on the item? Seeing none, I will make a motion to approve the item. Is there a second? Seconded by Councilman Miller. All in favor, say aye. Aye. Opposed? The item is approved. Moving on.
Next item are consent agenda items BC 2022-803 and BC 2022-804.
Okay, board members, let me know if you have a question on any of those two items. It's kind of short.
There's Greg, I saw Greg here. Oh, I'm sorry, if you have any other questions. If I may?
You may.
Greg, on the CAL fee. I saw in your response back that they thought that that it would be paid by the what happened? Why didn't the prosecutor?
Greg Huth, Law Director. A couple of things, we never transferred funds over there for them to handle it, and the other is, they will do that for litigation and criminal issues, but not for something civil like this.
And I'm cautiously optimistic that whatever they provided you can be used.
Yes.
We're holding on to the guidance that they provided?
I saved everything, yes.
Thank you. Very happy to hear that. Just shepherdize it and make sure it's still good law if we need that, and hopefully we will soon enough.
So, board members, are we ready for a vote? I will make a motion to approve today's consent agenda, or should I wait a second?
Hang on one second.
Oh, yeah, please. We're good? Okay. Seeing no questions, I will make a motion to approve today's consent agenda items as listed. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Mr. Joe Nani. All in favor, say aye. Aye. Opposed? The item is approved. Moving on to other business.
No other business?
Do we have public comment?
No public comment?
I will make a motion to adjourn. Is there a second?
Second.
Seconded by Lee Tucker. All in favor to adjourn, say aye. Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? We're adjourned, and thank you. Have a great holiday.
Thank you.